Hi, this is Sandy Holman with your Just a Few Minutes video for today. My grandfather, Rufus X. Holman, was a pivotal figure in my life. He saw much, experienced much, including a lot of evil done to him and subjugation done to him simply because he was a black man. Somehow, some way, he survived so many things that people didn't: the lynchings, castrating, the raping, the murdering, the coming up with all kinds of horrendous ways to torture people because we considered them savages, Africans and dark-skinned people and people who had disabilities, especially if they were black with disabilities. All of them were considered the lowest caste. And I really recommend that all of you read the book Caste. It is a critical reading. She wrote a book that I've always wanted to write, and it's powerful. So Grandpa understood that we were considered on the bottom of this caste system and what we now call eugenics thinking, or the eugenics movement. By the way, Darwin and his half-cousins were the fathers of that. You don't learn about that in school. Darwin was a racist, and he believed that dark-skinned people are African diasporic people were at the bottom of the pit. And they believed him and those he inspired, including the Nazis in Germany, and including what we considered the first genocide in the 21st century, which was actually in what is called Namibia today, where they killed 80% of the Herero people. It was a prelude and a practice to what they would eventually do in Nazi Germany and so many other places. But eugenics combined with caste, combined with white supremacy, combined with normal people turning a blind eye to the horrors that were being done and which were normalized, were crazy. It cost millions of life in the most horrific ways, combined with chattel slavery and in a way that would perpetuate slavery and slave mentality over generations. We are still seeing violence today that is directly connected to all the violence that was institutionalized, sanctioned, allowed in our government, spewed by our leaders back in the day. Caste existed before we existed as a country, as Isabel Wilkinson likes to say, and she's right. When we took away religion as the deciding factor, since the slaves started converting to Christianity or being forced into Christianity at the time, they started using race, and blacks and African folks were at the bottom of it. You can read so much literature on this too, where they predicted our extermination, our extinction. I mean, we were put in zoos and circus acts, along with other cultures too, by the way, for displays of people, Eurocentric people in particular, and at our own abasement. But they didn't care. The Bronx Zoo with Otto Binga, which is a famous one, that went into the 50s, 60s, and 70s, I think. But Grandpa, if he were here, he would say, y'all still don't get it. All that chattel slavery and the thinking that went with it, all that white supremacy and the hate that is flaring up in our year of 2020 at levels unseen in a long time. I mean, it's always been here, but it has morphed into an insidious beast. All that still denying people the right to vote, threatening their lives, bullying them, setting up obstacles, putting up all kinds of voter suppression in the year of 2020. All of that normal people turning a blind eye, supporting leadership that is doing wanton evil, supporting and justifying voting for that evil leadership around one or two issues when billions are being affected by this hateful, nefarious, endemic racism and hate based on dark skin and our history of subjugating dark-skinned folks still in the year of 2020. You can't call yourself a child of God if you are supporting the current leadership. You just can't. I'm sorry to say that. You are out of alignment with his dictate to support oppressed, poor, fatherless, in prison, hurting, people being treated unjustly, people. You can hold a Bible up, you can pray, you can do all those things. Grandpa would say, y'all's thinking ain't right. The other day when I was being still, he came to me like a wave. That's his picture behind me. He had a third grade formal education, but more brilliance than several PhDs, especially the ones who are propagating race and the construct of race and superiority theories and trying to make it seem like, as Grandpa would say, y'all think we ain't got no sense? You think we ain't smart? You think you better than us because your skin is whiter? You think you're some sort of master race? But y'all don't get a lick of understanding of what you're doing. It doesn't take anyone with any formal education, and we need to remember a lot of our education is colonial and very Eurocentric because victors decide what's going to be written in the history books, which is why Darwin and the evil he propagated and the views he propagated were not well known. We sanitized them for the books. My grandpa would say all of this. He would call it what it is. And he used to always say when he was alive, Sandy girl, life is what you make it. And I can guarantee he would be urging all those people who want to make America great again when it was always flawed. Even though I love America, it is my country. People who look like me have died fighting for the principles and ideals of it. No, we have always been based on this color system, this caste system, this eugenics way of thinking, which believes in weeding out what they feel are inferior people, even exterminating them, sterilizing them, as we have a history of doing in this country and beyond. No, Grandpa would say, y'all need to get a new way of thinking so we can make this life better for a lot more people. I love people. They are my beloved. I love you enough to tell you what my grandfather would have said, and as his granddaughter, I will say it to you too. You cannot support what's going on in this country and be in alignment with God's ways. And I'm talking about the current leadership. Evil runs in degrees, and I know the Democrats have challenges too, but what the Republicans are doing with the current incumbent is unforgivable, except that we serve a God who says we have to forgive. But that means that you all need to do the right thing, as Grandpa would say. In the South, black, white folks, all kinds of folks use y'all a lot, and he said y'all a lot to me. And he would also say, sure enough. And what I'm telling you is a sure enough, as I thought about my precious grandpa. It breaks my heart what we're seeing today, but we can be a movement for change. Time to throw away the caste system, the chattel slavery that is metamorphosized into what it's showing as today, the subjugation of targeted folks, people with darker skin. Time to love everyone, regardless of who they are, where they came from, and to make amends for the hundreds of years of inequity, oppression, supremacy ideology, and extreme, torturous, terrorizing pain and suffering that has been caused to so many. Walk in my shoes and other people. Don't just think about your pocket and how your business gets to stay open, or you get to get taxes cut off, or you get to continue having the privilege at the expense of others, regardless of the pain it causes them, and be comfortable. Hate is like a virus. It eventually And it's been too long to me, but eventually it permeates every space and place. Challenge yourself to dig deep and do the right thing. We need to overhaul our political system and use healthy ways, not violence, to do it. But voting for the incumbent is a higher degree of evil and supporting something that is not right. Purple love to you in this difficult message, and I hope you have a powerful, change-making, think about others besides you and our world and our country day. Blessings. Love you, Grandpa. Rufus X. Holman.